what do you make of like some people are like, oh, an OA affiliated wallet that bought 170,000 ETH at about 3,800 or so. It was down, what, 40% or so on that trade or something like that. I mean, I'm curious what your thoughts are. I know you don't share the same kind of panic as people that say that or anything like that. But what do you make of that with a wallet affiliated, obviously, with Pulse Chain that sacrifice money basically went in to buy Ethereum, 170,000 ETH? And yeah, I think the cost basis is right around 3,800. So what do you make of the cost basis for that being so far down and the bad timing of that buy of Ethereum?
I'm not in the least concerned. I don't think so that it has a lot to do with it. But you know what this dip really reminds me of is the COVID dip that we saw in
Yeah.
April of that year.
Was going to mention
And
it in our earlier conversation. I totally forgot. So go
yeah, and
ahead.
I
Yeah.
did too. I did
Yeah.
too. And it really reminds me of that. And I think um, we all know what happened right after that. It didn't take long before things really started to take off. And, obviously, like you said, this is always a great time to DCA. But I'm not concerned about that. We know that we don't know who holds that wallet, but we know the people that are surrounded by it have long-term vision, right? That I don't think there's any time frame. I saw Sai post something the other day, but he's like, people need to understand that trades are supposed to happen quickly. And I don't know that that's true, because think about all the people that got into Bitcoin early, right? We talked about this last week. How many of those would have rather made a trade quickly, made a couple $100, or held on to it long term and possibly made themselves millionaires, right? So I don't know that that's true, and I think that mentality can really wreck you trying to get in and out of markets. It's all
Definitely.
about time frame. So I don't, I'm not worried about it. I'm not in. I mean, yeah, I'm not in any hurry. I think we've got another year until things really start to pop off. And for those who want to rush it, you're only going to end the cycle sooner. So, kind of decide what you want. And I think that's the problem. People are conflicted with what they really want. They want it to go up, but if we go up that much now, again, it's a shortened cycle, and it won't last into it's not healthy. So we've got to have these pullbacks. We've got to get rid of the weekends. We've got to wash the people out in order to make it run like it needs to run. And that's kind of where we're at. But again, I'm not overly concerned with that buy. I don't really care.
Well, you just said another thing about if you try to rush the cycle, it's going to end earlier, however you put it. But like another thing is, if you try to rush it, you're going to suffer. I mean, like
Mhm.
more than anything, like this is a market. Like you are a participant in it. You're a very small participant in it, and you do not control its ebbs and its flows and where it goes or anything. And I've been really intrigued with this idea recently of outcome independence with anything that you're dealing with in life, which is easier said than done. I mean, imagine like just saying like, oh yeah, don't you have to just be independent of whatever the outcome is. Like, don't stress whatever the outcome is, and don't be focusing on it. Well, if there's something that you're dedicating like your whole life to, and all your thoughts and all your investments, and you're constantly thinking about it and everything, it's very difficult to divorce your thoughts from what your goals are, what you want the result to be, when it's going to happen, and all that. But the point is to focus more so on the process, because if you're thinking about like a specific time frame, and I've got to get to this X amount of dollars in my portfolio, and it has to happen by this date, inherently, and I mean, I'm speaking from experience, I'm totally guilty of this, and I'm sure we all are. You're going to make subpar decisions because you're thinking that you're going to have to rush things and stuff like that. You're going to think, you're exactly what you just said, making short-term trades to try to compensate for what you think you're losing by just sitting here doing nothing. But
Yeah.
sometimes it just has to come to you. So it's really, really hard to do. But to try to shed away the thoughts of, I've got to do this amount by this day, and if that doesn't happen, I'm going to be pissed. Well, go ahead and be pissed, because that is what's going to happen, and you are going to suffer. You're probably going to make suboptimal decisions, and it's very difficult, but try to focus on the process instead. And if there's really no action to take in terms of whatever the thing is in your life you're thinking about, whether it's investing in crypto right now or whatever, you got to turn your attention elsewhere and just start focusing on something else in the meantime, and let it come to you. I mean, there are scenarios where, hey, I mean, maybe we see something. I don't, this isn't my primary scenario, but, Axis has talked on this show before, and other people have said it as well. What if it's the first quarter of 2026? What if we do get something really weird here? What if Bitcoin doesn't recover right now? We actually have 8 months of sideways into 2025, and 2025 is not what we all have been thinking this whole time. I'm not saying that that's going to happen. I don't think it's the most probable scenario, but it could happen. So let's just sit back. If you are fundamentally happy with what you're investing in, you believe in Richard Hart, the things that he's created, Pulse Chain, Hex, everything else, Pulse X, all that stuff. Sit back, relax, DCA how you want to, and stop focusing so much on the outcome and exactly when it's going to happen by.
Yeah. I think
So.
sideways markets can shake out people just as much as dips, honestly, because they get bored. You know what I mean? People need that adrenaline or that dopamine hit when things go up, and when they're not getting it, they try to. Somebody made a comment back here that kind of made me think of that said Axis, saying that, I think he meant Pulse X is the unicorn, ape into ink and then swap to Pulse X, unless PLX is something different that I'm not aware of. But
no, I'm sure he probably means Pulse X.
But again, that kind of behavior can also get you wrecked, because a lot of times you make the wrong choice. You end up with less than you had before because you tried to play a ratio or tried to play a swap, things like that. People get bored. And they start doing stupid things, and it usually just doesn't turn out well. You're usually better off just pick some coins, some DCA, put a little bit in, red candle, buy a little bit. I saw Cody Pauly mentioned that it's 7 days to transfer from Coinbase. Well,
right.
It sucks when you're not ready. I mean, I understand a lot of people have expended their dry powder, so trying to get new money in sometimes sucks. I know, when I'm in a hurry, crypto.com is one that is pretty instant. Now there is a 3% fee. With Coinbase, you can do it pretty much no fee if you buy into USDC through your bank account. But again, then you got to wait 7 days. So, does that 3% affect a whole lot? $100 buy cost you $3. Not really. You know what I mean? So it's almost worth it to have it instantaneously rather than wait if you really want to do something and you want to catch some lows. So, I was able to catch a couple of those Ethereum dips. I bought a little bit. The one that I saw that was down, and then the next day it went down even further, and I got a little bit more. So I think I caught the 22 or 23. I think I caught, I don't remember, one of the two, but yeah. So again, sometimes sideways markets will definitely shake people out as well.
DJ Moonboy, I think this is what we all prefer to do ultimately. Yeah. FOMO after 3 days of a big run, and G'd at the end of the hard sell off. Yeah. That's pretty much what we're most accustomed to doing. But, and I'll make a devil's advocate for you. You were just talking to Cody Pauly. I've had that Coinbase thing happen before too. Hey, Coinbase's little delay has saved me from, it's helped me DCA here and there, actually. Like sometimes just put my, funds on hold, and it's like, oh, okay, I just had a 25% dip right after buying. So, and then I put, the next round of cash in, and then it dips another 25%. So, it just keeps on going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I know a couple states, Fast Abdul, have been approved. I don't know that it's the entire market quite yet. I haven't seen an announcement. Then again, I've been out of the loop a little bit, so correct me if I'm wrong. I thought it was only Texas, Florida, and Montana, maybe, or something like that. But yes, we are very excited for Coast to get their onboarding back to the United States and back up and running like it was.
Definitely. Yeah, I know you were huge into using them, and everybody wants them back up and running, and
Yeah.
really good to help onboard new folks too. So, great stuff. Hey, this chat is insane tonight. So, thank you guys for being here. Shout out everybody in the chat. We appreciate you.